Hello, I'm Rob.
And I'm also Rob.
And welcome to Marmalade, our monthly look at the games we've been playing the previous month. Well, some of them anyway, the ones that stick in the mind kind of thing. Yeah, it's been a strange start to the year, hasn't it, Rob?
Yeah, as far as games, I've not really been engaged on that level, to be honest. It was one of those things where Rob said like a week before recording, we're doing a Marmalade this month. I'm going, hang on, I better play something. Oh hell.
See, the weird thing is, I've been kind of the same because I've been more addicted to the ongoing Latin American soap opera that continues to be The American Government. It's been a strange old time. I've been watching the CNN and other American newscasts just to see just how much the government has been kind of folding in on itself and how much the Republican Party has been kind of, I don't know, trying to tuck itself into its own rectum. I don't know.
Whoa. I have no politics here. Thank you very much.
It's nothing to do with politics. I've got nothing against the Republican Party, except for kind of the weird nutjob side of the Republican Party.
Yeah, but you're talking about politics. Let's not do that.
I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about a soap opera. It is a soap opera through and through.
There's a problem with American podcasts, I'm going to come out right and say, in the fact that every one of them is slowly turning into, what's the opposite of Republican?
Democrat?
Yeah, that's it. Like a Democrat PR wing, and it makes it kind of awkward listening as, in the eyes of an American anyway, a foreigner.
Yeah. I mean, for people like us who are across the pond who aren't invested in American politics, I just regard it as like one of the best soap operas I've been watching in years. I mean, this stuff beats EastEnders by any day of the week.
Okay. So games then.
Yes,
Let's get like vaguely on topic for what this thing's supposed to be. Also, before we start, you can get this show two ways. You can listen or watch it on YouTube, but we'll be putting all of our episodes of this, of News Trash, and Impossible Mission into one Omni feed. So you can listen to it all wherever you get your podcasts from, but that will be under the Impossible Mission banner.
Yes, it will.
So, right. So do your speaking and your words, Rob, for your first pick.
Okay, my first pick is, see, I like the game and I kind of don't like the game at the same time. You know what? You know when a game tends to be a bit too difficult, but you still keep playing because you want to see what happens next?
Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same when it comes to Morbid, the Seven Acolytes, which is developed by Still Running.
This stuff?
I find it because I don't know. I have this weird fascination for indie games that are trying to be Dark Souls but don't have the budget.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls isn't exactly a big budget game. People forget that, From Software, when they first made Demon Souls and Dark Souls, they were small scale company who.
Well, they were
mid-range, but
yeah, mid-range.
But and they made the money off Front Mission. It's the other one, Armored Core, which was never that successful outside of Japan.
I think the one that people forget though is stuff like Demon Souls and Dark Souls. Didn't it extend out from like Kingsfield?
Yeah,
because I've got Kingsfield on the PlayStation, and it's a strange game.
But anyway,
leaving that
we're really bad today on topic today, aren't we?
No, I think it's the January thing. January's one of those months of change, and maybe that's what all of this is about. Anyway, Morbid the Seven Acolytes. It classes itself as a horror punk action RPG filled with Lovecraftian horrors and Cronenbergian gore.
That's just ticking a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah, the gore is definitely there, and the Lovecraftian elements are definitely there as well. There are a lot of things in this game that I think would tick boxes for you, but there are also some things in this game that I think might not tick the same boxes for you.
Go on.
So anyway, you are the last surviving member of You are the last surviving striver of Dibrom.
This is news to me. I didn't know this happened to me.
This happens in the game. Don't worry.
It's just your word. Anyway, I'm teasing your word.
Yeah. So anyway, you are the last surviving striver of Dibrom, and you basically have to go and defeat the 7 Acolytes, who are accursed and powerful beings possessed by malevolent deities called Gahars. This is all the text for the game. This is the blurb for the game.
This is why I stopped watching Star Trek DS9, because of all the sci-fi gobbledygook language.
Yeah.
This is just fantasy gobbledygook language.
It is fantasy gobbledygook language. What it effectively is it's kind of, it's not directly top-down, it's off-angle top-down.
Isometric.
So, well, it's not quite isometric, because isometric has kind of, it doesn't have it kind of perpendicular. It has it at an angle, so that you don't have like a straight up and a straight down. You have the angles instead. Whereas this is basically straight up, straight down, left and right, and moving around, everything like that. It's kind of the perspective that you get in games like Children of Morta and things like that.
Yeah.
Rather than being Diablo-esque, rather than the perspective you get in games like, what was it, Alien Breed and stuff.
Nobody knows what that is. Super Smash.
Okay, I'm referencing games. Not Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash TV.
No, that directly. Super Smash TV. That's it. That's the one.
Bomberman or something.
Yeah, where it's directly top down. So it's that kind of perspective, and you basically have to travel around doing the whole thing about smashing pots and killing monsters who explode in clouds of blood and gore. And I mean, quite literal. Like, you could smash a bucket full of all sorts of wriggling, bloody things, and the blood just flies everywhere. And I'm just standing there thinking, why am I so clean when there's all this blood all around me? How am I so clean? Why is my character so clean?
One of the questions of life there, I feel.
Yeah. And so you go around, you basically get better weapons, and you get a better gun, a better crossbow, you get a bigger sword or a faster sword, and you have to go around killing monsters and doing quests and ultimately killing the 7 Acolytes. And yeah, it's a tough game. It is a tough game.
Tough by design or tough because you're rubbish?
Kind of both. See, it's tough by design, right? It's meant to be a tough game. It's meant to be a challenging game. And there are ways you can exploit the game, which is the same with a lot of indie games. There are ways you can exploit the environment because of the pixelated design of the games. And so that's something that I've been using to my advantage to make the game easier for me, I admit.
So you're doing the thing that I do on when you find like a little area to hide, you'll hide in that area and then just shoot them from that area, for example.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. That's kind of exactly what I'm doing. There's little bits where you know, when you're up against a tough monster, there's little bits where you can just kind of, you angle yourself into that little bit, and then you just stand there and hit it with your big sword, and it can't actually touch you from where it is.
I remember doing that a lot for the post game in like Borderlands 2 when everything was like really tough. It took about 1 million bullets to kill.
Yeah.
Just find a hole, hunker down, and shoot it for about an hour.
So that's basically how I've been playing Morbid, the 7 Acolytes, and that's, I continue to play it because I do want to see what happens next. The nice thing is it's got an interesting system where you basically meditate to heal, but the problem with that is it saves the game at the same time and then effectively restarts from where you've saved there. So all of the enemies come back, and so if I have to go back over where I came from, I have to fight all of those creatures again. If they've been really tough, really tough battles all the way through, I have to go through all of that again just to go back the way I came, which is annoying. It really is.
Okay.
So
you're not selling anybody on it, let's be honest.
Well, it's, as I said, it's one of those Dark Souls-esque games where you end up fighting like powerful beings, big bosses and stuff like that, and they're a challenge because they can effectively one-shot you right at the beginning of the game. and so you will end up dying a lot.
Yeah. It's not really appealing to me, to be honest. I understand that there's an audience for those types of games.
Yeah.
But I really liked Hollow Knight because its world design is very neat, and it never felt too difficult until it was too difficult. It felt like it was possible to beat it when you figured out the loop. But at a certain point, when they're just throwing everything at screen at you, and you don't know whether it's going to do this or that, because its body language is the same consistently, it's like, yeah, you know what? I've had my fill. I'm done. See,
this is the thing with Morbid. It doesn't throw everything at you all at once, thankfully, because if it did, I wouldn't play the game. And there is a sneak option, so you can sneak up behind enemies and kill them, and things like that. So there are ways around things, but the problem is, you might need 3 or 4 hits to kill the enemy. They might only need 1 or 2 to kill you. And that's where I run into a problem, because from the beginning of the game, right at the beginning of the game, when you start playing it, I basically started playing it. I put it down after about half an hour of playing it because I was dying too many times.
Yeah, which is understandable. Those games do test your patience quite consistently.
And all I wanted was, okay, you're saying it's got RPG mechanics. So how the hell do I increase my health? How the hell do I get stronger? How the hell do I basically manage this so that I can take these enemies out quicker? Then I found out it's using the weapons that you have and using various medications. So you basically are drugging yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Is that everything you wanted to say about that game? There was name I've almost I forgot,
Morbid, the 7 Acolytes. It's not for everyone.
It's not a particularly memorable title either, is it?
Well, it's highly rated on Steam, and I understand why people like the game. I don't think it's for me in the long term.
Yeah, those games are either for you or against you, and for me, they're against me. Because they're the sort of game where, like, you see, when I find something difficult, I'll take a jumper off or roll my sleeves up, take my shoes off, and I think, right, I'm serious now. And if that doesn't work, I think, what, I'm done.
So is your ultra serious mode taking your jumper off, rolling your sleeves up, and taking your shoes off?
Yeah, that's like, and socks off. That's like, let's do this.
Socks.
Let's do this mode. And if it still doesn't work, you know what? The game's not for me.
I was worried I was worried there. I was worried where this was going.
So, like, the ultimate difficulty is, absolute birthday suit and just... I shall beat you, game. I shall beat you. And then that doesn't work, it's just embarrassing. A joke. I don't go that far. Anyway, first game for me. Got it on one of the recent PlayStation sales, Steamworld Dig 2.
You've mentioned this to me before.
I never played the first one because it's procedurally generated, and those things just kind of annoy me because it takes me ages to find my way around games when they're normally generated. Never mind randomly. But this one takes place after the first one. You play a steam-powered robot who has to go and find Rusty, the character from the first game, essentially. It plays a lot like Spelunky in the sense of you and your character, you go down into the world and you dig through bricks and blocks. Different bricks have different properties, might have like an explosion, they might be really heavy, might hide things. There's all sorts of aspects of it. But yeah, it's like narrative-driven exercise of that. And it's one of these games where I don't know about it. It's a Metroidvania in essence, in the sense of you will get new things that allow you to open up other types of the world. And I think, honestly, that might be my issue with it.
Okay.
Because it's a fine example of a game. I really like the style. The characters are all very, very well designed and considered. The world building, in the sense of it's got like different communities when you go deeper down, and different like aesthetics for different parts of the world. Boss battles, all good. I think it's just the structure of dying, going a little bit further, and then learning from it, or getting a new skill and then opening up new parts of the level or new world. It's saturation point, which I'm not holding against Steamworld Dig at all. It's just honestly the idea of playing this structure of game again
Yeah.
It's kind of tedious, which I'm not holding against the game because honestly, I kind of really, really, pardon the pun, but dig the game. It's not often. There's only a few handful of games where you've actually played the robot.
Yeah.
In a sense of it is actually a robot. There's many games where you're a robot, but he looks like a human. So what's the point then? He's an android. What's the point? You may as well go full hog of robots or not hog at all. Either full hog or no hog. I'm sure that's a fitting analogy. I don't know.
You might actually like there's a game I think of whenever I think of robots in games, there's one game that immediately springs to mind, and it's an old game now. I don't know if you remember it, Machinarium?
Sort of. There was one on the PlayStation 2 which I adored because it had like a really dumb sense of humour. It was called Metal Arm's Glitch in the System.
Yes, that was a good game.
Yeah, it's like a 3D arena shooter, and it had one character who kept on bleeping himself whenever he swore, but he wasn't. But it's a sort of dumb self-censoring, which tickled me at the time. But
yeah,
Steamworld Dig, I think it's just one too many. It's one of the staple aspects of the diet of like the indie game experience, isn't it? You could probably break down indie games into about 5 separate groups. Roguelikes, bullet hell, Metroidvania, quirky puzzle games, and site management sort of.
Oh yeah, facilities management games.
Yeah, I think you've broken down pretty much most of indie games by those 5 groups.
There is a 6th group that's only recent it's only started appearing properly in the last 3 years. Last 5 years, I'd say. Card battlers.
Well, that's not that common, or is it? I've just not missed it. Totally.
No, you've missed it completely because you're not into card battling games at all, but there are a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the traditional card tabletop RPGs, or whatever you want to call them, just start talking about them and my eyes will go to I'll pass over to the other side and just, I'll be in the void between realities. Yeah. But I don't want to hold it against Steamworld Dig because I really like it. It's just more of the same.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does make sense.
I didn't realise I was going to be harsh on it until I started talking about it, and then I was harsh on it. But it's because it's a really good game. It's really well made. The sound design, everything about it's good, and what you want from this type of game, it's there. Yeah. But it's just the same thing again.
Yeah. I see. This is the thing. I honestly, when I've looked back at the games I've been playing over the last year or so, I'm repeatedly playing the same type of game over and over again.
It never used to be like that. This is a recent thing.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot more varied types of games, but now it's Metroidvania, FIFA or wrestling game, or action open world RPG sort of thing.
Whereas with me, I'm playing some dark, brooding, bloody, gory type indie game with some kind of really depressing storyline and, really twisted visuals. Blasphemous, Sundered, Ritual the Crown of Horns, Morbid, the 7 Acolytes.
You are not trying to escape the bleak circumstances that we find ourselves in as a species, are you?
No, I'm kind of wallowing in it like a hippo in mud, aren't I?
Yeah. You're not thinking, you know what, it's grim out there, I'm going to play Mario Party.
Who would I play Mario Party with?
I don't know why my brain went to Mario Party first, but you know what I mean? It's like a fun sort of silly throwaway game, which you can't really hate. It's just dumb fun. Dumb, charming fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I find it amusing when I think about it now because I got accused by an anime fan of only liking, all those cutesy, happy-go-lucky anime.
They don't know you, clearly. You just like grim stuff, Rob.
And have you seen the stuff I like?
Yeah, I think you just need to go for like a walk on the moors or something and just contemplate.
Oh, no, because then I cannot go for a walk on the moors because there's only one song that plays in my head whenever that happens.
What?
And that's Depeche Mode. Enjoy the silence.
Well, look.
It's only because I remember the video of the king walking all over with a deck chair.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, Steamworld Dig, I don't hold it against it personally, but it's just one too many of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I do think it's a great game. I'm happy I got it. I've got my fill, but same old, it feels at this point.
Yeah, it's weird you say that because that's kind of what was happening with me with the next game that I basically played, which was a game called When the Past Was Around.
Sounds like a Sundance indie drama about the family.
Well, it is kind of.
Oh no, Rob.
It is kind of right. See, When the Past Was Around, it's developed by Mojken, and it's by the person who created some other stuff called A Raven Monologue and She and the Lightbearer, neither of which I've played. So When the Past Was Around is the first one of Brigitte Reyna's games that I've played. Not encountered anything by her before. And it's an adventure point-and-click puzzle game, which on the surface seems pretty straightforward. You think stuff like Monkey Island and various other things like that.
Yeah.
Okay? No, totally wrong. Think more Gorogoa.
I think you're going to have to explain what that is, because that's not exactly a well-known game.
Right. Gorogoa is one of those games where it looks like a certain type of game on the surface, but then it isn't. And I think Gorogoa, When the Past Was Around is a lot more simplistic than Gorogoa in terms of its puzzles. You don't have to take parts of the picture and slide them over other parts of different pictures in order to get a specific outcome. Thankfully, you don't have to do that. Thank God I don't have to do that. Because I think that was the most annoying part about Gorogoa, and also trying to figure out what the hell the story was in Gorogoa, because that's not obvious. When the Past Was Around is a lot more straightforward on that front as well, you know? But it is ultimately a story about a girl in her 20s called Ida, and she's lost her way on her journey to achieve her dreams until she met the owl, who is a man who would help her burn with passion. And you start off
You meet the owl from Winnie the Pooh when he does that? That's weird.
Yeah, it might have been Owl during his younger days when he was like a college student or university student playing the violin with his shawl and everything, meeting the girl he likes, the woman of his dreams. But then, the relationship is short-lived and it leads to heartbreak and starts off in like a graveyard with a crypt. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a depressing start.
What actually happens?
This is part of the game.
I thought you were just taking an analogy to like an nth level and just going too far with the joke.
No, this is part of the game. Okay. You basically start the game off as Ida, and there's a shadowy figure with a violin type thing, and you go through various doors in the prologue, and then it gets to a graveyard, and you basically, I'm not spoiling it because this is the beginning of the game, and then you basically go into the crypt, and then various things happen in the crypt, which I'm not going to go into, but memories are revisited. And It's nice. It's a nice thing because you're revisiting memories, you're putting the story together of the life and relationship between Ida and the owl man thing, whatever he is, right? And it's really nice and wholesome and everything like that, and music plays a big part in it, and in a way it reminded me of my favourite anime romantic comedy, Nodame Cantabile, which, if you haven't seen it, do watch it, it's brilliant. But it's also one of those games where you play it for a while and eventually it becomes dull, I hate to say.
So it's like the same systems over and over again, so you kind of get overexposed to the same thing.
Yes. It's basically click on this, drag this, keep this, use this with this, and then over and over and over again in more convoluted and complicated ways to basically achieve a goal of getting feathers and releasing memories. And that would be fine, but it's the same mechanic, repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. And the incentive is to open up more of the story and release more of the memories, and that's fine, if the story is gripping enough to keep you there. But unfortunately, When the Past Was Around, because it's an emotional story, because it's relating to the character emotions and relating to love and loss and music and various things like that, there is a limit on how far it can go.
Okay.
Before you've had enough. I'm not saying before it becomes boring or dull, but before you as a player have had enough and you just say, right, I'm done with this for a while, I just need to walk away from it, you know? It's not that it's depressing, there is a hopeful overtone to it all, but, you know, you can't get away from the atmosphere of it. Even though visually it is really quite charming, you know, the character designs are great, the environments are great, the puzzles are great, you know, simplistic, but still, you know, interesting, but that's it.
Yeah, there's another subject of indie games, thoughtful, narrative-driven story games.
Yeah, which, when the past was around, fits into that category.
Sort of like awesome colours and very little gameplay, lots of talking, and everybody's talking about their emotions. That's another subsect of game. Yeah,
this one, there's very little talking, there's a lot of music. On the blurb, on the Steam page, there is the most appropriate description of this game. It's an adventure, point-and-click puzzle game about love, moving on, letting go, and the joy and pain of everything in between. That is a pretty accurate summation of the game.
Well, different things appeal to me and you, Rob. Let's just say that.
I mainly looked at this and thought, that's a nice art style. I like the art style.
Okay, right.
I'm a sucker for interesting art. You know this.
Yeah, there's 2 more games that I've played, but one I've not played enough to talk about it in any way, shape, or form. It's one of these games that I'm going to have to sort of run through to completion. I have like a decent way of talking about it, but it's Kentucky Route Zero.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a poet. If David Lynch made games and discovered poetry, which isn't the sort of thing that I thought would appeal to me, but as far as sort of like mood and aesthetic, I'm digging it quite a lot.
See, a David Lynch poetry jam would be an interesting thing to attend.
Well, considering that David Lynch is doing like weather videos on YouTube.
You're joking, right?
No, and he's committed to continuing his YouTube videos with weather. So he's got his own YouTube channel, David Lynch, yeah.
And he's doing the weather?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check this out.
It's everything you expect it to be. Whether that's good or bad, you know, you expect and you get it. But yeah, that's Kentucky Route Zero. I feel like it's going to be a big one for me, but at the moment, it's really too early to say. I'm like halfway through episode 1 of 5, so having a comment on that, it's way too early, to be fair.
Yeah.
So my last one is one that was given away free on PlayStation Plus, which is Concrete Genie.
You've been playing it?
Yeah. Concrete Genie, you play as a young boy, Ash, who lives in, I think the name of the town is, or the adjacent town is called Dansk. And that town has sort of subsided, well, it kind of gave in to darkness. There's darkness all over, you know, moody gloom and purple reefs all over the place. And this one boy, lad, Ash, is sat on a side of a pier, let's just call it a pier. It's like a side near the pier, like where all the fishermen would sit and talk about barnacles or whatever. It's gone by. But yeah, it's all abandoned now. He sat there drawing monsters, reminiscing about what the place used to be like, and then some bullies come, do some bullying thing. The pull his book apart, and it goes all over the place. Long story short, his drawings jam with something that's going on in the town, and he is given powers to create these graffiti monsters which have certain powers and certain attributes, and you got to go around repairing the town. I really like this, and I think it's limited at the same time, because you've played a lot of games like this sort of PlayStation 2 era, sort of narrative third-person... Well, not third-person, narrative 3D platformers.
Yeah, because the way you're describing it, literally the first game I thought of was Jet Set Radio.
Well, I won't go there, because you don't negotiate the world in the same way.
I know, but just the whole idea of going around, painting around the town and stuff like that. You know, just from that angle, the first game I thought of was Jet Set Radio.
If you put Jet Set Radio and a blend of Psychonauts, I think you'd be about there.
Okay.
But I think it's kind of limited in the same way that those games are as well. Because a thing with a lot of PlayStation exclusives, when they introduce like a new bit of tech, is they will have about 4 games where it has that bit of tech, and then you won't play it ever again. In this one, it's got motion controls. You can turn them off, and it took me a while to figure out I could turn them off. I had like, when you know, on a loading screen when it says go on the game option menu to turn off motion control. It's like, done. Where is it? Get off. It's terrible. Because before that, I was basically controlling the graffiti powers as if I had hands for feet. No, and feet for hands. It was really awkward.
I know exactly what you mean, because it's like the touchscreen in Tearaway, or the 6-axis and whatever games use the 6-axis on the PS3. It's exactly the same as that, isn't it?
It's fine, but it's better when you just use the right stick. It's much better. But it's kind of, even though the bullies are horrible little monsters, it's got an aesthetic which is kind of charming and endearing. You know, the way he interacts with the monsters, the things he says to them, the way they just want, like, you to draw grass or trees or sun so they can sort of just feel happy for a bit. It's just got, like, a really nice, charming vibe to it, a family-friendly vibe to it.
Well, it seems like one of those games that could easily be converted into a kid's cartoon.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. This has, like, family cartoon all over it. But, yeah, I don't think there's a lot to really say about it. It controls a bit funky in the way that a lot of those old sort of PlayStation 2, Dreamcast-y, whatever era 3D platformers did.
Yeah.
But it's kind of forgivable because this is a very, very small company which I think started making games for PlayStation as students who just basically graduated. So this is like their second or third game, and it's a major announcement of intent, announcement of this is who we are, this is what we can do. Because even the art style, you could be accused, because everything uses, like, I don't know, the Unreal Engine or whatever, so all games' characters fundamentally have an essence of the same about them. This doesn't. It's got, like, the character model, but on its face it has this reduced frame rate stop motion animation, which just looks unlike anything I've ever really seen. So the way the characters express themselves and, talk, it's one of a kind, really. But yeah, I was, like, contemplating on getting it, like, buying it, much like I was with Hollow Knight previously. But I only got it free on, like, PS Plus, so I thought, yeah, that'd save me some money. Good, I'll have a go. And I don't think it's quite as revelatory as Hollow Knight. It's been pretty hard for it to be, but it's, as far as sort of like a charming game to spend a few weekends, like a few hours or a few weekends to play, it does everything that you really expect of it.
Yeah. I mean, we've liked the look of Concrete Genie for a while, and we've been meaning to play it for a while, but now that you played it, it does sound like something that I'd happily sit down with.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, like, rock the world, but it doesn't set out to. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Man-Eater is the same. It's that sort of game where you wouldn't spend a load of money on it, but once you've got it, you think, I'm enjoying this is fun. But once it's finished, you're not going to be like saying, I need to play that again, I need to rush out and get that again, but you will be interested in what they do next.
Yeah, I totally get it.
It's like a debut film. It's like a debut filmmaker who makes their film, you're like, I really like this. I wonder what they'll do next.
Yeah. I mean, the bizarre thing is, right, you know how we always go back, we mentioned this, it seems to be the topic of this episode, going back and playing the same types of game that you always play.
Yeah.
Right. One of the games that I picked up on the mobile front this month, because I've been playing stuff like Asphalt Legends and stuff like that, as I usually do. But one of the games that I picked up was one that I didn't actually think I'd pick up, and there's a type of mobile game, you know, like a stats management game type thing.
So you're going to basically make getting footage for this an absolute ass. Cheers, Rob.
No, I'm just mentioning this. It's a bizarre one called Immortal Taoists. And, you know, I've been reading a lot of, you know, crappy translated Chinese novels. Yeah. This kind of fits into that, where you basically have to cultivate and become like an immortal and various things like that. And it's not very good, Rob. I played it for about a week and like pretty solidly for about a week, and then I suddenly realized, why am I playing this? There is no point to me playing this. There's no purpose to this game. There's actually literally no point to it at all. I've wasted hours this week playing this game.
Is this the game you chose to talk about last?
No.
Good, because that's a horrible way to end an episode.
No. The game I chose to talk about last is actually a game that I'm going to be reviewing, so I'm going to be very quick with it, rather than going into detail. It is the new Atelier game, Atelier Ryza 2, Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy. And the first thing that I have to ask Koei Tecmo is please shorten the titles going forward.
It's very Japanese, isn't it? Sort of like over encumbered, but with like words.
See, this is the thing. The actual title makes sense when you start playing the game. You know, when you play the game, and the whole game is like 3 years after the first Atelier Ryza, thankfully. There are annoying bits like having to start from a low level again, which I don't like in games that are continuations, you know?
Well, it might be somebody's first, so you got to at least level the playing field somewhat.
You know, but there are areas where it clearly is a continuation. So there is a review coming out for that in the within the next week. So look forward to that, and that will have plenty of footage as well. So don't worry. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been playing for the last week and a half. Because that's a big game, and you know how much I sink into those games.
Yeah. But we got at least one good game this month.
Yep. Yes,
we got two.
Yes, we did. The thing is, When the Past Was Around isn't a bad game. It's just, it's just a bit too much of an emotional atmosphere. Morbid isn't a bad game. It's just not for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like why in the lockdown Fall Guys became such a major success.
Because everyone wanted to get away from just the gloom and doom and death and despair.
Deep inside,
and Fall Guys,
everybody wants to be a purple gloober bouncing around and falling over.
Or everybody wants to be, everyone wants to be the killer or whatever it is in Among Us.
Yeah.
Because those are the two games of last year, aren't they? Fall Guys and Among Us.
I don't know what Among Us really says about people, but I'm sure some psychoanalyst will dig deep into that.
I think it's just everybody secretly wants to go, hey, it was me. I beat you all.
Yeah. I think it's about everybody wants to admit that they actually did fart in the lift, but they never had the nerve to do it. And this game is really...
That is the best description of Among Us I've ever heard.
And this game is allowing you to do that now.
That is literally the best description of Among Us I've ever heard.
You're welcome? I guess.
Because it is. That is basically Among Us completely. It's a group of people in a lift and one of them farts.
Okay, I think you misunderstood that game, but we'll call it a day there. So yeah, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, thank you, first off. In the next half, it will be the upcoming episode of the news trash. But if you're watching on YouTube, it just ends rudely.
Well, it doesn't just end, Let us know what you've been playing in January in the comments below. And if you like the video, then give us a thumb, a sub, or a bell. If you want to support us, then check out the Patreon. The details are in the description. And if you're after more video game chit-chat, then Impossible Mission is the thing to watch.
It is launching again very soon.
Yes, it is. So, yeah, look out for that one as well. That will be out at some point very soon. Anyway, that's all for this episode. We'll be back next time with News Trash.
And next month with Further Marmalade. So until then, don't play anything we wouldn't, and thank you for watching.